What's up, guys? Trey here, back with another episode in Trey's Declassified Frisbee Survival Guide. This is the Offense Series Part 2, and in this part, we are going to be going over Intro to Zone Offense. That's right, that's what we are going to be covering today. Almost every single team that we have played so far in the league has played a zone, so learning how to deal with that by learning how to play in zone offense is going to be really important for the rest of the season for us. We've got only about 2 weeks left, and then it's playoff times, and we're in a really good position. So if we just stick through it a little more, get some good results coming up, we'll be looking in great shape. So let me set up here how we would set up if a team throws a zone at us, right? So if we see that a team is throwing zone, then we want to have 3 handlers. So we want to have 3 people back, one in the middle, one on the left, one on the right. And right off the bat, we immediately want to get the disc to the middle of the field. That's called centering it. So this guy, right when we start off, always should be having the disc. So wherever it goes on the pull, whoever catches it should get it to the middle of the field as quickly as possible. Then after that, we have 2, these guys are called poppers or cutters. And they try and find space in between the chinks, kind of like finding the chinks in the armor of the zone. And then we have people, they're called deeps because they're further deep than the cutters, but they don't really always have to run deep. They are just more like continuation people. So after the disc is thrown to one of the cutters, it's up to these guys to make a nice cut and get open. And it doesn't always have to be deep. But I know it can be kind of confusing because they're called deeps. You don't always have to go deep. You're just more like a continuation cut, and you're deeper than the cutters. So if they throw a zone, it's probably going to, if they're forcing home, it's probably going to look something like this. And then probably something like this. And something like this. Right? So that's how it'll probably look if they set it up. And we know because if we watched the zone defense video, we know that they're trying to get us stuck if they're forcing home onto this home sideline. That's exactly where they want us. So the first rule of playing in a zone offense is to never let the disc go to the sidelines. We never want the disc thrown to someone standing right on the sideline over here or even over there, depending on what way they're forcing. That is a big no-no, because that's when they trap us and it gets really hard for the throwers here to make a throw to anyone who's open in the field, right? So that's rule number 1. When you look at this, it seems very easy to just say, well, why don't like these 2 people here just work it between each other all the way up the field? Or why don't they just throw it to this guy over here and then keep going between everyone here? And that's a really good point, because that's what a lot of zone offense is. It's a lot of handler movement. It's a lot of these 3 just working it slowly, bit by bit by bit, up the field. And we do that by what's called swinging the disc. And, you know, it's a term that we've probably heard a lot yelled out in the field this season so far. And it's very similar to kind of like swinging the ball in basketball, right? You're just trying to move it across so that there's more space in the middle of the field so that we can actually get it to one of these cutters and then get it to one of these deeps. So what would that look like? Let's say that we do end up throwing it to this guy over here who moves up a little bit to take advantage of this space. So he moves up here a little bit. He runs up and he gets the disc here on this throw. Then the zone is going to come over, and before these 3 people in the zone are able to get it up here, or able to trap him on that sideline and stop it from throwing the disc back to, he'll have moved over here a little bit. Before they can move over to trap on the sideline, the guy with the disc is immediately throwing it right back there. So that's called a dump. When you throw it to the person right behind you, the handler right behind you, it's called a dump pass. And then there's all this field open right in the middle over here that we could just dish it off to that guy, all the way on the other side of the field. And then these guys here who are all the way up on this guy right now. They're all the way over here right now. This is gonna that's these guys. They have to run all the way across to get this guy who now has the disc, because we just swung it. So let me set this back up just a little bit here because it's getting a little messy. This guy can move back, and this guy can move back over here. So swinging the disc is when it is on the sideline. So let me get rid of this guy here. If he has the disc there, these three here move over to man that guy, and then this guy comes back. Then a swing is when it moves all the way across from there to there, right? So when we swing the disc is when the defense is the most vulnerable. It's when a defense is at its absolute weakest. So when that's done, let's say that these guys have moved all the way over here. Once they've done that, and we swing the disc over to this guy here, let's say we go boom, boom, to this guy with the disc now, then there is all of this space to work in, really. And they have these three defenders here, which might make it a little tough, but that's exactly why it's these guys' job. It's the cutter's main job is to find gaps in their defense. It's usually going to be between these guys here, kind of where he's positioned already, or between these guys here where he's positioned already. But usually this guy here will kind of push over if he's over there, and this guy here might push a little bit that way. And if they do that, then this guy either needs to come short here or cut to the sideline there. Basically try and get away from the people who are playing defense on you in the zone in the middle. And that's called finding the gaps and popping into those spaces in the middle. And then let's say that this guy faked him out because he's behind the guy, and we have this easy upline throw here. So now our man here has moved all the way over there. Now it's up to these two, who's in a 2v1 situation right now, to get open. So this guy might come short here while this guy goes deep, and that way this guy can't cover two people at once. That is the absolute worst case scenario, is this one guy here covering both of these people. That's a big, big no-no. And they can have that not happen by one coming short and one coming deep. Or, if there's a lot of space, this guy cuts deep this way, and this guy cuts deep that way, or the vice versa, this guy goes deep that way, that guy goes deep that way. So that is essentially the basics on how to break a zone offense, or how to break a zone defense through zone offense, sorry. And it is deceptively simple, because when we get it stuck on the sideline, things get in a lot of trouble, which is why we need to absolutely avoid getting it stuck on the sideline at all costs. And if it does, the last thing I want to touch on is that if it does get stuck on the sideline, let's say that this guy here has the disc, and these guys rearrange themselves so it's more of a trap. Then what we can do at all times, this is called crashing. We can always crash the cup. So if this guy's not going to get it back there because this guy here is playing good defense, then he can run through the gap of the cup and into here. And as long as it's not a handoff, he can just dish it over to him and the stall resets. So that's a really effective way of resetting the stall and making it so that there's now more time for us to figure out how we're going to get out of this trap, because it is truly really difficult. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that these two cutters here, they're also, if this guy's stuck on the sideline here, they can try and find gaps either right on this sideline here, as much as we wouldn't like it. It gives us time where, it gives us time where this cup has to catch up to him, and so that's time where these deeps can make a cut, and it's usually okay if one of the cutters gets it on the sideline, as long as the cup does not set up on them. And they can either find space here, or they can try to find gaps between the cup, because we have some really good handlers who can throw it between the gaps of the cup here. And while they think it might be covered, and while these defenders might think it's covered, one of our handlers might be able to get it through that gap, and that's called breaking the zone, just straight out breaking the zone. So let's say that this guy here sees that these two are leaving a pretty big gap between them. He can come into this space while this guy moves a little bit over, so this defender follows him. And we can get an easy break here. And now we're looking at a 4v4, but the cup isn't set up. And these two are going to be crashing through, and we're going to be in a very advantageous position. So that is the basics of breaking a zone offense. We really just want to focus on not letting the disc get to these sidelines. We really want to focus on swinging the disc early and often and as frequently as possible, really as frequently as possible, because once this cup here gets really tired, if we just keep swinging it back and forth, they're going to get gassed, and then it'll be a 7v4 anyways, because they're going to be halfway across the field after we swing it, right? So if we swing the disc early and often, if we keep it off of the sidelines, and if the offense, everyone in the offense is moving at all times, that's one other thing I wanted to mention quick. Don't want to make this too long. But if the cutters and the deeps don't think they're in viable positions to get the disc, then at the bare minimum, they should be pretending that they're getting into good positions to get the disc. Because if these guys are moving around here, just looking for space, roaming around, if this guy looks like he's going to make a deep cut and then this guy comes under here, as long as everything's moving around, then all of these defenders are going to start getting really worried, and they're going to start moving around too. They're going to start breaking their formation, and we're eventually going to have a nice, easy upline throw, or we will be able to find space a lot more easily than if everyone's kind of standing stagnant in the middle waiting for a gap or waiting for a swing, right? So everyone's active all the time. Everyone's trying to find space. Everyone's trying to pull defenders out of position. We're swinging the disc early and often. We're keeping the disc off of the sideline, and we're trying to find those little gaps, either in the defense or in the cup, through the cup. And that is all I have for zone offense for today. I might make a little video later to update how there are some more complicated ways that we could break it down, but I think at the bare minimum, this will suffice for pretty much the rest of the season, really, if we stick with the basics. Everything, I think we'll be all right against all of the zones. I have not seen a really advanced zone from any of these guys yet, so we will be okay as long as we stick to these basic principles of swinging the disc a lot, keeping it off the sideline, always moving the defense around, and trying to find the gaps in the middle. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope this was a helpful video for you guys today. I hope we kick butt today and the rest of the season. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.